Hi, everyone. Welcome to Homework Help for Lesson 42. Let's get started. 2/5 of the photographs are black and white. The rest of the photographs are color. What is the ratio of black and white to color photographs? So we have 5 total photographs, right? Two of them would be black and white, and then the remaining ones would then have to be in color. So then black and white to color would just be comparing the two black and white ones to the color photographs, which is 3. And we just have to write it in a ratio comparing the two values. All right, number 2, 432 students were assigned to 16 classrooms. What was the average number of students per classroom? Since we've already been given the sum here, 432, we just have to take that amount and divide it by the number of classrooms, which is 16. And then from there, all we have to do is divide. That's a 2 up there. That's a little difficult to see. All you have to do is divide, and then that will take care of it. Okay, number 3, the American redstart, which is a species of bird, migrates between Central America and North America every year. Suppose that a migrating American redstart traveled for 7 days at an average rate of 33 miles per hour. How many miles did the bird travel during this period? So if they traveled for a total of 7 days, and they traveled 33 miles in that amount of time, we would just multiply to find the total amount of miles that the bird traveled during this time period. Number 4, diagram the statement, then answer the questions that follow. So we have 7/9 of the 450 students in the assembly were entertained by the speaker. So we have nines, then we have to split this into thirds, and then we have to split each of those into thirds. So that gives us 3. That gives us 6. And I know these are perfect rectangular boxes. That gives us 9, right? So that's 3, 6, 9. And 7/9 were entertained by the speakers. So that gives us this many boxes. So 7/9. We have a total of 450 students. And since we have 450 students divided by 9, that means that we have 50 students per given section. So if each of these sections has 50, 7/9, how many were entertained? So it would be 7 times 50. How many were not entertained? Well, what fraction were not entertained? That's 2/9. So it'd be 50 times 2. So here we have 50 multiplied by 7. And here you have 50 multiplied by 2. All right. Round each number to 4 decimal places. 5.16 repeating. So we have to add another 6. So that's 3 decimal places, 4 decimal places, but then we have to add a third 6 there. And we're going to round to this place. So you have to look at this 6, which means we're going to round up. Now for B, 5.27 repeating. So we're going to go 27 again, and then another 2, because that's already 4 decimal places. So we just need an extra one. We could just put 2. We don't have to put the extra 7. So this rounds down, and we're rounding to that decimal place. All right, number 6, refer to the circle graph to answers A and B. Student movie preferences. 5 prefer sci-fi, 9 prefer action, 10 prefer comedy, 6 prefer drama. How many students does the graph represent in all? So the total number of students is given by the sum of each section, of all the sections put together. So 10 plus 9 plus 5 plus 6 is the in all number of students. How many more students preferred action or comedy than preferred drama or sci-fi? So you have to take the number of action preference, which is 9, and the number of comedy preferences, which is 10. We would combine those two numbers to find the sum. And then you have to find the sum of drama and sci-fi. I personally prefer a really good movie in general. I'm not really picky. action comedy, maybe a mix of both, maybe a dramedy, maybe a sci-fi comedy, maybe a sci-fi action movie. Sci-fi drama is also very good. Arrival is a fantastic film. Fantastic example of a sci-fi drama. Letter C, anyway, what fraction of the students prefer comedy? So you have to take the total, which was given to us from letter A, and then in the numerator, you would have how many prefer comedies, which is 10. And of course, we simplify if we can. What fraction of the students in the class preferred action movies? Similar situation. 9 preferred action movies, and you put that over the total, which again you found in letter A. Now, what's next? The coordinates of the vertices of a triangle are -6, 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we have 0, -6. So 0, -6. So 2, 4, 6. And then we have the origin, which is 0, 0. So now we can accurately create this triangle. So extend that there, extend the line there, and then connect this dot here. And you want to find the area. So you can find the area a couple ways. You could count all the little squares, which would be time consuming, I think. Or we could find the base and the height and then divide that by 2. So what's the base? This side would be the base. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our base is 6. Our height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, also 6. And then we're going to divide that by 2. Now I know what you're thinking, Mr. C. How can this be the height if it's going down? Well, let me tell you, even though it's moving in the downward motion on the coordinate graph, this is still technically the height. Remember that the height is just the perpendicular distance from the vertex to the base. That's it. And you notice that this is a perpendicular line, making it appropriate for what we're looking for. Number 8, all the angles are right angles. The dimensions are in inches. Find the perimeter. So we have to find this amount, which you say 20 minus 12 gives you 8. And then this amount, 10 plus 10 gives you 20. So to find the perimeter, you just add all those up. To find the area, let's split this up into some manageable rectangles. Yeah. So we go here. We'll split it that way. We have 12 by 10. So that's going to be the area of this rectangle. And then we have 10 by 20. That's going to be the area of that rectangle. And once you've done that, you can find the sum by adding those two products. And again, to find the area, we multiply base times height or length times width, however you want. Number 9, divide 1.7 by 11 and write the quotient with the bar over the repeat end. I did mention you could use a calculator for this, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it the long division way. So that's 1.7. Remember to carry the decimal above itself. So that's 11. That's 6. Drop the 0. That's 5. And I'm just going to spoil it for you right here. It's going to keep being 6. Wait, that's 5. So that's 55. Wait, I can't spoil it for you just yet because this is also going to be 5. Oh no. So we have to keep doing this. Well, 11 goes into 54 times. So that's 44. And then, oh, here's where it shows up. The 6 there. So now we're going to see this pattern where 54 keeps repeating. So with the bar with the repeat end is 0.54. So we got to put a bar over that and not repeat any of the other ones. Now, round it to 3 decimal places, you have to write it to 4 decimal places, which is known as 54. 54. And we are going to round it to this decimal place. In exercise B, what place value did we round to? Well, it was tenths, hundredths, thousandths, because 1,000 has 3 zeros. All right. Letter 10. Use digits to write the sum of the decimal numbers 27 thousandths. So we have, and then thousandths is 3 decimal places. We line it up on the right, 27 thousandths, and 58 hundredths. Hundredths has 2 decimal places. 58 fits that nicely. We add a terminal 0 so that they have the same place value. And then we just add and make sure that our decimals are lined up. All right. Next, we have 11A. Ted has 2 spinners. He spins each spinner once. What is the sample space for the experiment? The sample space is everything that can happen. So you have to list everything that could possibly happen in the combination of the spinners. So let's start with, let's say 1. So what could happen? Well, we'll go with A because there's less letters than numbers. So you could get, your results could be A1. You could also have A2, A3, and A4. Now, what else could you get? With B, with C, make sure you list every single possible combination. And that should be able to help you out in those instances. Now, we are going to go with 11B. What is the probability of getting a consonant and a composite number? So in order to figure this out, you have to find all the total sample spaces. So once you have your answer for A, that's going to be your denominator. And then the probability of getting a consonant and a composite number, a consonant, being B or C, and then a composite number being a number that is not a prime number. Now, there's only one prime number on there. So you have to make sure you look for all the letters that are consonants, so B and C, that also have the only composite number, and that will be your numerator. 12A, make a factor tree showing the prime factorization of 7,200. Start with the factor 72 and 100. Well, at least it tells you what to start with, right? So 72, 100, 7,200. We are going to make the tree. And then from here, we can just start splitting it up, 24, 3. Remember, we're making a factor tree that you want to circle all the prime factors, right? I'm going to go 10, 10. Either of those are prime. So you keep splitting them up. Right, the prime factorization using exponents. So once you have all your prime factors, you want to group them together, right? And you're going to do that using exponents. So for example, if the prime factorization of a number was, let's say, 2 times 2, then you would write it as 2 squared, right? If it was 2 times 2 times 3 times 3, and again, they all have to be prime factors, you would say 3 squared. And you say that because how many 3s are there? There's 2 3s. That's where they came from. How many 2s are there? There's 2 2s. That's where they came from. 13. Use a protractor and ruler to draw a triangle with 360-degree angles and sides 5 centimeters long. So you may not have a protractor. You may not have a ruler. But what we do know is this. If the 3 angles are all the same measure, then the sides are also going to be the same measure. That means all the sides also need to be 5 centimeters long. So when you draw this, all you really need to make sure of is that all your sides have the same length. And when you mark up the triangle, that the measures are also all the same, which is 60 degrees in this case. Now, if you do have a protractor and a ruler, just make sure that you line up the circle with the vertex, make sure that extends out to be 5, and make sure that you put another dot over here for the 60 degrees, and then just keep repeating the process, and then erase the portions that are extra. What is the least common multiple of 12 and 15? So let's find the prime factorization. So that's 2 times 2 times 3. For 15, it is 5 times 3. Then we take the largest group for each unique factor, 2 times 2, 3, and 5. So 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 5 is the least common multiple. 15, solve. We're just going to cross multiply 21 times 40, divide by 24w. Or just 24, right? So it's 40 times 21 equals 24w. And then you divide both by 24. All right, so then you have 6 times 1.2 divided by 9. For 17, we're going to subtract 9.6 from both sides of the equation. However, 14 does not have a decimal. Oh, no, wait. Yes, it does. We add a terminal 0, and we line up our decimals, and we borrow from both sides, or we regroup, sorry, we're not borrowing. We're regrouping. It's not like we need money to buy the PlayStation 5, right? We are regrouping to solve for M. For 18, instead of subtracting, we're going to go ahead and add, because adding is what all the cool kids do. 4.2. 4.2. Add a terminal 0. Go ahead and throw that plus sign on there as well. And make sure you line up your decimals. 19, evaluate half of the base times height when B is 12 and H is 10. Well, since these are being multiplied, these will also be multiplied. And don't forget to take half of that product. Show 2 ways to simplify this expression. Well, you could add and then multiply. Or you could distribute and then add. The choice is yours. Justify the steps to simplify this. All right, so the first thing we did, if you'll notice, you get a 5/6, you get a 5/6. They distributed using the distributive property. Then they simplified this to 1 because of the inverse property of multiplication. And then here, well, that was it, right? 1 plus 5/7 because the 6 is canceled out. And then it's just 1 plus 5/7, which is 1 and 5/7. The price of an item is $4.56, and the tax rate is 8%. Find the tax on the item by multiplying 4.56 by 0.08 and round the product to nearest cent. So once you multiply, 456 times 8, and again, we're only looking for the tax. We're not looking for the total cost. Whatever your product is, how many digits are after the decimals? 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to move the decimal to the left 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Any blank spaces are zeros. Estimate the quotient of 23.8 divided by 5.975 by rounding each number to the nearest whole number before you divide it. So this will round up. The nearest whole number is 24. The nearest whole number, that's a 9. So we round up. It becomes 6. So it's just 24 divided by 6. 24. What are the missing words in the following sentence? The longest chord of a circle is the diameter, because a chord is a line that goes through one end of the circle to the other, but a diameter specifically goes through the center, and it's twice as long as the radius, because the radius is just from the center to the outside as opposed to basically going across the planet. 25 simplifies, so we're going to have some long division here, 7 and 1/10, but we're going to add some terminal zeros just to make it possible to divide. And then you're just going to divide like you normally do. 4 times 1 is 4. Getting ahead of myself with that 3. Why didn't anybody tell me? Then we drop down to 1, which is 31. You keep dividing. 6 1/4, 5/12, 2/3. The least common denominator is what we have to find first. We can see that it's 12 because 4 and 3 are also multiples or factors of 12. So instead of 6 1/4, you're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator. Sorry, that was confusing. The numerator and the denominator, much better, by 3/12. Since 5/12 is already out of 12, we don't actually need to do anything there. Just keep it the same. And 2/3, we're going to multiply by 4. So 4 and 4, which is 8/12. Fantastic. Yay. And then we add the fractions, simplify to a mixed number if you can, and then 6 plus 5 plus the whole number. For 27, again, we need to turn everything into an improper fraction. So that's going to be 25 over 6, but first it needs to be common denominators since we're subtracting them. Common denominator is 12, so we're going to multiply both of these by 3 and both of these by 2. So we have 2/12, well, 4 and 2/12, and 1 and 3/12. So instead of doing anything well, I mean, I guess we're going to regroup. So this is going to become 3. And it's going to be 12 plus 2, which is 14. And you're still going to subtract these. But now for 4, instead of making it, 4, we're going to regroup it to be 3 and 12 out of 12. So once you find your difference inside the parentheses, 3 and 14 twelfths minus 1 and 3 twelfths, once you find that difference, go ahead and subtract it from 3 and 12 twelfths, and that'll be your difference here for this expression. 28, look, please do not do 6 times 2 times 2 and then multiply fractions. This is not adding, people. We are multiplying. And when you multiply mixed numbers, you have to turn them into improper fractions first, or you have to turn them into decimals. Do not just multiply the whole numbers with the whole numbers and the fractions with the fractions. That is not what we're doing. So 6 times 5, 30. 30 plus 2 is 32. Excellent. We're doing it. And then we have 2 times 8 is 16. 16 plus 5 is 21. I'll let you do 2 and 6/7 on your own. Once you've done that, you can either cancel and multiply or multiply and simplify. I prefer canceling and then multiplying, but that's just me. What do I know? I'm just a math teacher. All right, 29. Before dividing, determine whether the quotient is greater than or less than 1, and then you state why, then you perform the calculation. So here's the deal. The quotient is going to be bigger than 1. Why? Because the dividend is larger than the divisor. Anytime the dividend is larger than the divisor, your answer is going to be greater than 1. That's just a fact. If your dividend is smaller than the divisor, you will have a quotient that is less than 1. Now, the exceptions here are when you get to integers, so positive, negative numbers. But in this case, they're all positive, so we're good. Now, how can we perform the calculation without doing anything too tricky? Well, there's a lot of different ways we could do this. We could turn them into improper fractions and then do keep, change, reciprocate. We could double and then divide. I'm going to go with keep, change, reciprocate. So 6 is 6 out of 1. That's easy. And then 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 over 2. It's also easy. And then we're dividing. Yes, we're still dividing because we have not done the keep, change, reciprocate. Keep this the same. Change division, multiplication. Take the reciprocal of the second fraction, which is 9/2, or the reciprocal is 2/9. Now that we've done keep, change, reciprocate, go ahead and multiply, simplify, and find your fraction. 30. Find the measures of A, B, and C in this figure. Then classify any angle pairs as supplementary or complementary. Well, we see that this is 90, right? A plus 40 is obviously 180. So we can find what A is pretty simply there. Okay. And then how to find B? Well, this is already 90 degrees. So B plus 40 plus 90 is equal to 180 degrees. Okay, that's not that bad. So we can solve for B that way by adding these two and subtracting them from 180. We can find A by subtracting 40 from both sides, and that'll give you A. Now for C, you notice that B and C combined make a straight line, which means that combined B and C are 180 degrees. As far as supplementary just means that they both add up to be 180 degrees. B and C are supplementary because they make 180, and A and 40 are supplementary because they make 180. Now, remember that we're looking for angle pairs, so only two angles. Now, complementary are two angles that when you add them make 90 degrees. Since this is already 90, that tells us that B and 40 also have to be 90. So these would be another pair of complementary angles. Okay, that is it for today. That is your homework help, your extra credit. I need you to name one movie for each genre because this is going to be too easy for extra credit. I need you to give me an action movie, the title of one. It could be your favorite one, your parents' favorite one. It doesn't really matter. You could also name a comedy movie, your favorite, your parents' favorite, whatever. A drama movie, same thing. Your favorite, your parents' favorite, something you saw scrolling on HBO, whatever. And action, comedy, drama, and sci-fi, your favorite sci-fi movie, your favorite, your parents' favorite, whatever. If you're gonna come at me asking about the Avengers, any comic book movie, I would personally classify as action movie, not science fiction. I guess it has some sci-fi elements. I wouldn't necessarily consider them to be science fiction though, but that's just me. That is it for today. That is your homework help. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments or on Google Classroom. We will see you later.